Let's begin by expanding the brackets. You will take each term or value that is outside of the brackets and multiply it to each term or value that is inside the brackets separately. So 4 times 3 is 12, so this times this, and then 4 times y is 4y, so it's plus 4y. Let's do the same thing below. So x times 2 is 2x, x times y would be plus xy. Here we have y times y. Any time that you have two variables with a power above them, so in this instance it is 1, you would add them together once multiplied. So y times y would be y squared. Because there is a negative here, instead of there being a positive in the previous two, y times minus 3 would be minus 3y. Here we have a variable and a number. So let's do minus 3 times 2, which is minus 6, and a times a squared. So if we add up the two powers, it'd be 2 plus 1, which would then be a to the power of 3. And then we'd have minus 3 times minus 5. So that's going to be positive, 15. And then a times b, which is ab. Now that you've got the hang of expanding, the next step would be to simplify. So let's first expand the first section. So it'll be 2 times 4, which is 8. And then 2 times plus x would be 2x. Then we add 3 times 2, which is 6, plus 3 times x, which is 3x. You only look at the things which are just numbers, and then you look at the terms which just have unknown variables in them. So first let's add up 8 plus 6, which would be 14. Then we have 2x and 3x, which would be 5x. So we've simplified that as much as we can. Here we do the same thing again. 4 times 3 is going to be 12. And then 4 times h is plus 4h. We now have minus 2 times 4h. So minus 2 times 4h is going to be minus 8h. Minus 2 times minus 2 is going to be plus 4. So now let's look at everything that's just a number. We've got 12 and 4, which is going to be 16. Then we have 4h minus 8h, which means it's going to be minus 4h. We could theoretically now simplify this again by then factorising it, but that is expanded and simplified as much as we can for now. Let's look at one more problem before we move on to factorising. So we have 2x times 3x, which is 6x squared. So this to this. Then we have 2x times x squared, which is going to be 2x cubed. Then we have minus 3x times minus 4. So we're going to have positive 12x. And then you're going to have minus 3x times minus 2x, which is plus 6x squared. We now look at everything which has similar terms. And here there is only 1x squared and 1x cubed, and we have two values which are x to the power of 1. So we can clean that up. So let's do 2x cubed plus 6x squared plus 18x. Now that we've done expanding, factorising is the reverse of everything that we've just done. We're taking something that's been expanded and we're putting it back into brackets. Doing this, you need to know what the factors are for numbers and looking at common terms that are in both places. So here we have a 6 and a 12. The common factors in here are 6, so therefore we can pull the 6 out and we have x on the inside of the bracket, and then what we need to multiply 6 by is 2 to make 12, so it would be plus 2y. You can check that you've done it correctly by expanding this, and you know that you go back to the top. So 6x plus 6 times 2y is 12y. Here we have 6x squared plus 9xy. First, let's deal with the numbers. So we can see that the common factors here is 3. So if we pull 3 out, we're going to have 2x squared plus 3xy. But we also have common values of x that are seen in both. So we can pull out the x's, so we can have 3x, 2x plus 3y. Let's look back at the question that we previously did. We expanded it and simplified it, but now we can also factorize it so it looks a bit better than this. We can see that 2 is the common factor between all of these numbers, so let's pull 2 out. We're going to have x cubed plus 3x squared plus 9x. The next step would be to see how many x's can we pull out. If we pulled out x squared, there's only one x term here, so we can't do that. The common factor between each of these terms is x. So we can pull out 2x, and you're going to get x squared plus 3x plus 9. Here are 2 more problems that we can try and factorize. First, looking at this, we can see that there are no common numbers between each of these terms that we can pull out. So let's now just look and see if there's no y here, there's no y here, but there is a y here. However, there is an x term present in all of it. So let's pull the x out. So you're going to get 7x plus 3 plus y. So now if we multiply this x back in, x times 7x is 7x squared, x plus 3x is 3x, x times 3 is 3x, and x times y would be xy. We know that this has been simplified correctly. Let's do this again for the last time, but this time we have multiple variables that we don't know and numbers that can be factorized. So you should be able to see that 4 is the common factor between each of these numbers. So if we pull 4 out, we're going to get 2pq squared plus pq minus 3p cubed q. Let's first address all the p's. So we have 1p here, 1p here, and 3 p's here. So we know that we can pull at least 1p out. So let's get 4p, 2q squared plus q minus 3p squared q. We also have 1q common in all, so we can pull that out. 4pq, you're going to get 2q plus 1 minus 3p squared. This has been simplified as much as possible. And again, if you want to triple check that you've got it right, 4pq times 2q would be 8pq squared, which is the same as here. 4pq times 1 is 4pq, and then 4pq minus 3p squared would be minus 12p cubed q.